Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Witchery Brews. Today we're covering level 4, the very last pages. There's actually 2 last pages there, but if you're interested, just click on the one that you want to check out. Otherwise, it's all just going to play one at a time. So there are a few things that you may notice. First and foremost, I have a few volunteers here, or volunteers as the case may be. We'll get into those towards the end of the video, but for now, know that I am now infused. I have gone through the infusion ritual. I have a witch's hand in place here, just to show that it is currently working. I can, therefore, cast a spell that, they send this stuff out. It's interesting, to say the least. But I just made a big mess of things as well. Look at that. Oh boy, that's gonna hurt. All right. Well, anyway, let's get into this here. Luckily, the things that I need to cover are down at the other end. So we're gonna start off with Grus Pray. Grus Pray is a very unique ability or effect, I guess you could say. For those that are familiar with the mod Extra Utilities and have gone into the Deep Dark dimension, this will give a similar effect to that, where the darkness will attack you. So the darker it is, the more damage you'll take. The only difference between this and the Deep Dark dimension is that the damage will happen pretty much as soon as it's dark. It's not going to be you have a short time. So let me grab some of the ingredients here and I will show you what this is like. Now, more power will not really affect you in any different way. More area of effect will just allow you to, splash more critters nearby. Best way to do this is to add length to it so that you can really affect the target that you're trying to get there. Now, in this case, I currently have some annoying little... Get out of here. We have some messes to clean up. You get out of here too. And I set this up here with some dark glass. Basically, this will not allow light to get through or light levels, and it's from another mod. It's Extra Utilities, of course. And I have this dispenser facing down, and of course I'm going to put this here. And I forgot to grab some chickens, but that's all right. I can just grab one here. There's a chicken. We'll put that in the top, and actually I'm going to spawn the chicken first, so you can see there's a chicken inside. Hello, little guy. How you doing? In fact, whoa, let's kind of hover here and you can see him a little bit better. There he is. Now, if I add in a potion, this splash brew of Grus Pray, it will instantly give the effect on him that he's going to start taking damage because it is dark in there. And it's dark under here as well. So, even though I'm in creative, it's going to give me the effect. You can see Grus Pray. Now, it doesn't last for very long, so that's something that you're going to want to make sure to take into account. Now, also, it is going to make things a little bit, well, I guess, easy to overcome. All they need is light levels. So if you use this at nighttime, then they should be alright to take damage, unless, of course, they've got torches. So it's more or less probably for fighting NPCs, but if someone just sees Grus Pray over here and they haven't heard of it before, then you'll probably be able to get in a lot of damage on someone in the darkness, and they won't be any the wiser because it doesn't exactly say light sensitivity or anything like that. But anyway, there you go, Grus Pray. Next on the list, we have Absorb Magic. Now, this one sounds impressive, and even when you look at it in here, level 4, go all the way to the end here, and that is basically Absorb Magic. Convert magical damage into infusion power, which is why I am infused. On the left side of my screen, I have an infusion meter. You can see that it is partially full and not entirely full. Basically, you need to take magic damage, and this will deflect a portion of it and turn it into infusion power. Now, the amount that you actually get is very small. So if I were to make a very low-level version here, like a level 1, it's not even really worth it. Actually, let's take a gas brew. I have a gas brew here, and it uses, of course, a whiff of magic for this one. Now, if I get some potions of harm, and I grab a few of these let's grab some harm 2. There we go, 4 of them, and I will go into normal mode here. There we go. game mode 0. Now I toss this up in the air to create the gas cloud, so it's going to constantly be renewing on me. Now I do this, and I have the effect, Absorb Magic 4. Now if I splash this on the ground, you can see I was injured. I got a little bit of my magic back. Now watch my magic meter. You can see I got a little bit, a little bit, a little bit more, you know, so it's not a lot really, but if you think about it, those were harm 2 potions. I was only losing about a heart instead of 5 or 6 hearts off of that. So it can really help with defending against magic attacks. And in the end, you also get the added benefit of a little bit of infusion power. And that was the max level. So keep that in mind. More power means that it will absorb more damage and it will convert more into your infusion power. The area of effect just ensures that you're going to be able to hit yourself with it. And I recommend that you will lengthen it because, as you saw there, the effect was only lasting for like about maybe 30 seconds or something. It's very short. But it's not bad. I mean, it's very situational, but if you want to fight one of those bosses that uses magic attacks and you know that this will defend against it, then go for it. It's not going to be everything magic, but it will protect against a good amount. And here we have a really interesting one. Wither. Of course, many people are very familiar with this one. If you look in your little Witches Brews book, you'll see that the Wither, it says, causes the victim to suffer damage and hunger until they die or the effect ends, which, first and foremost, the effect is extremely short. It's about like 7 seconds without any adding lengthening abilities to it. Now, on top of that, the more power you add to it, the faster the damage happens. So with 7 seconds, if at a level 1 you might take like a heart of damage, at level 4 you'll take about 7.5 hearts of damage, I believe it is. And of course the area effect just increases the splash area so that you can affect more creatures or yourself by accident. It's really good as a gas brew because it will constantly keep renewing. So that's something to really keep in mind, especially if you can get the gas brew to linger. But the problem here is, in the book, it says, and hunger until they die. Well, there's no hunger effects. I've tried this in many different ways. I tried it as rituals. I tried it as gases, liquids, potions, splashes. Doesn't matter. I couldn't get any hunger effects included in that whatsoever. Maybe that was just me doing it wrong, but hey, there you go. Still, you get a wither effect. Really strong. It does require, of course, a wither skull, but hey, or wither skeleton skull, but hey, you know, it's your ability to cast this and really combine it with some other cool stuff. And here we have what you would think something necessary for a witch that does not like werewolves would need, and that is harm werewolves. Of course, I have it here, and oops, let me grab my couple of charms here. Let me get into the proper mode, and you'll see that I'm wearing my clothing, and as I use this, I turn into a werewolf at level 1, or actually a wolf, and this is basically a creative charm that you can use to quickly cycle through the werewolf and vampire levels. Now I'm currently a level 10 werewolf, so if I shift and change, I turn into a werewolf, my clothes pop off, and I pick them back up in my inventory. Not a big deal, but that is standard. Now if and of course slowly over time, I will then start healing myself, and I keep on healing. There we go. Now, if I try to hold anything besides the moon charm or the creative bat wolf token, actually, I guess I'll drop that too. As a werewolf, I will drop them. So this is just a demonstration of what this can do. Now, if I do this, I can try throwing it. There we go. And you can see I am taking a little bit of damage, but it doesn't really show up because I've got toughness as a werewolf. So your werewolf harm potion is not really that effective, especially in a werewolf form. Now, if I'm in my human form and someone uses this on me, it's a lot more effective, but not much. I mean, that was the gas brew here. Let me just double check that I did make that as a high level. Yeah, gas 4, harm werewolves 4. So you can see it does more damage as a splash potion. As a gas, It's hit or miss, really. It all depends on the level of werewolf that they are. If they're just a level 1 werewolf or something, they're going to take more damage from this stuff and have less resistances. But if it's a max level werewolf, you're pretty much hopeless with this, using these against them. It's not going to work so well. If you cast it as a ritual, it does state in the book it will turn into it will cause rain to fall. And at first I was like, oh, I wonder if the rain storm will actually, like, the raindrops will hurt or something. No, it doesn't work like that. You can cast it as a rain shower, like you know, if you use a liquid for the catalyst in it. But if you cast it as a gas brew with a full coven of witches around you, and as a ritual there, it can be extremely powerful against a werewolf, because it has this massive knockback circle around it, and it can constantly just hit them nonstop over and over and over again before they have a chance to resist it. So it can be quite good then, but it's really difficult to lure a werewolf to your brew area, have your entire coven summoned, and then cast it. It's more likely that by the time that happens, if you're in a combat situation, that your coven's going to be wrecked by the werewolf, and probably you with it. And of course, to harm a werewolf, you will need a silver deposit in order to do so. All right, here we have Weaken Vampires. This one here, you're thinking probably, well, after the last one, I wouldn't be surprised if, if it didn't have a similar effect here. Actually, I'm really going to regret this. I'm going to die here in a moment. Yes, I am. Yep. Whoops. So as you can see here, I'm now a level 10 vampire. Allow me to, on the left-hand side, you'll see I have little blood pips on there, and my entire thing is currently empty. If I drink these bottles of warm blood, that's right, I'm a vampire. And yeah, I know I'm out during the day, but I'm now smartly in creative mode, unlike before. But if I use this gas brew of Weakened Vampires, it will affect, of course, vampires in the area. It does not affect non-vampires. So let's do this here. And I currently gain weakness 4, and if I were to be affected by a splash potion on this, or better yet, let me grab some of these blocks here and create myself a shelter so that I am not just instantly killed. In testing, I died really quickly. So allow me to drop this down again and change my game mode. And you'll see that my blood pips dropped very quickly. In fact, there was an explosion nearby. That was unpleasant at best. But the idea is, in a gas brew, you could just eliminate a vampire's blood reserves, making them extremely weak very quickly. And also giving them the weakness 4 effect, so their normal melee attacks and whatnot are pretty weak in comparison to what they normally would be. Now, if you use it as a splash potion, not really as effective. It'll take like maybe a half a blood pip away or something like that. So I do recommend a gas brew to completely weaken any player characters that are vampires. And the ingredient for the weakened vampires is, of course, garlic. So here we have something a little more interesting. Animal attraction. This one here, well, allow me to grab a bunch of ocelots, an arthana, and I'm going to grab a splash brew. Why not? Let's just grab a couple of these ones. And you'll need a heart of gold in Witchery in order to do this. Now, in order to get a heart of gold, if you are curious, you just need to spam a magic mirror until it finally tells you that there is someone that is fairer than you, which is probably going to be one of these characters here that are kind of floating around here. They spawn with different names, and usually within about like 100 or 200 blocks of you. And the mirror would tell you what direction they are. And they aren't villagers that get converted. They just spawn into the world. And of course, they look somewhat Disney-like. And then you've got like your Drake from the Drake's Adventures. But there you go. You have each one of these. And then what you'll want to do is, Sheila Mouse. Perfect. Mischief of Mice. Yes. You get to live for that. Danny, I'm sorry, Danny, but you're going to die. So if you take an Arthana, you have a good chance of getting what we have here, a heart of gold. And therefore you can use it as the ingredient in making some of these brews. Now, not to say that these are really that impressive of brews. The Animal Attraction brew is, well, adding power doesn't increase anything. adding area of effect doesn't really increase anything, except it might increase a splash area if you need it to. The best use for this is mass taming. It will not work on horses, but for things like cats and dogs, it works pretty good, actually. So I've got a splash brew. This is a large area, so and the fact that it's level 4 doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. Let me just find an area that I can toss down a bunch of critters that can't get out. Let's put down a bunch of kitties in here. There we go. And I toss my splash brew of animal attraction. And there you go. Boom. They're all tamed and sitting and pleasant. Good to go. And of course they're going to want to follow me if they weren't sitting already. Now if I splash it on myself near other animals, then they will all come to you. Of course these ones will not be tamed, but at least they will come to you. And then that's pretty much it. They just walk to you. So it's sort of like a potion of Snow White, you know. And there you go, lots of little kitties. Oh my goodness, kitties. Now let's say the fact that you have to carve someone's heart out doesn't really justify bringing cats to your table, or dogs for that matter. You would rather get rid of them. You're a little bit more offensive, or at least just mess with them. The same thing applies here. More power doesn't really do anything. The area of effect just increases the splash area. But if you add in the golden heart, or the heart of gold, plus a fermented spider eye in there, then it will be rather interesting. Let me toss some of this stuff out of here. We don't need these anymore. We're going to take the gas brew of animal repulsion. And this is a little bit more interesting here. So allow me to first spawn a bunch of these animals. And there we go. Then we toss the gas brew out. And you can see all sorts of crazy nanigans going on there. Of course, there's like a hollow spot underneath this, so you can see weird stuff happens. The animals are being repulsed from one another. Any of them that get affected by this, usually there's only one, will get repulsed and pushed away. In this case, let's toss over here, see if I can actually get this sheep within an area. Oh, missed him. There we go. That should, unless he walks away. Oh, so rude. All right, but you get the idea. You toss one in there. The animals in the area, which there's actually more, that you didn't really see many of them because they keep getting pushed into the landscape. But it's really actually crazy, you know. If you toss this in someone's farm. And all their critters are like fenced up and stuff, you can really mess with them and have a lot of weird stuff happen. So, but in a splash potion, basically the animals are going to get kind of teleported / pushed away from you. It's very basic for that, but it can be entertaining to use in a gas brew. And here, as usual, we have, at the end of the video, some special brews that I made for you guys. There's Vallen's Brew of Dots, which is actually damage over time, and I just added S because it sounds better. And then Vallen's Brew of Melting, which they're very similar, just one difference in there. These ones are, well, you'll see how they are. Basically, you either add erosion or poison. Erosion, as if you remember, will destroy and melt your opponent's armor if they're wearing any, and potentially do some damage to them if you can make it a high enough level. Poison will do poison. Freeze does a similar effect to poison, but at a greater degree, and also adds a slowing effect. And of course, Wither does wither damage. So yeah, there's lots of damage over time going on here, plus the potential to melt their armor at the same time and slow them. You're not going to do all 4 at once because I'm trying to keep it so that it's no more than 8, so that the costs are somewhat reasonable, and I haven't moved anything above level 3 as far as this goes for the setup. Now, here's the recipe here. It is pretty much Netherwort, Tear of the Goddess, Diamond Vapor, a diamond. Then you've got glowstone, blaze rod, redstone, obsidian, and either oil of vitriol or a spider eye. And then repeat the same process, and an icy needle, repeat the same process, and wither skeleton skull. And by that I only mean these ones. You don't need to repeat these ones here. Then you move on to wood ash, cocoa beans, belladonna flower, and lapis lazuli. Bottle it up, and you get yourself one of your 2 brews. Now let's grab a couple of these here. And you'll see, I mean, they're not tremendously effective. Like, they're not going to just insta-kill things. But if you toss one of these down, let's do the brew of dots here. Let's do some dots. You can see the horse is taking damage, and I'm in here as well, being affected, but I've got poison 2, wither 4, chilled 4. So I'm moving slow to try and get out of this thing. I've got it, so therefore it's renewing the wither 4 effect on me, which can be quite tremendous. Plus the poison effect will bring you down to a half a heart but not kill you. And your chilled effect is going to just constantly do cold damage. So it's really good for a lot of different effects that they might not be able to have the abilities to renew too easily. And of course, the Brew of Melting is going to have a similar effect minus the poison and just absolutely wreck their armor. So you might be able to hurt them. But you want to be careful that you don't get affected by it as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know that I always enjoy making up some new special brews for you guys. If so, if you enjoyed it, please give a like. Feel free to leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and spread the mischief to others. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.